Just saying live soon. Okay, so I guess we have a new system that we're working on, folks, and apparently this is we're gonna be learning as we go along here. So I guess there's a bit of a delay. So what I wanted to talk about today, I guess, and isn't anything like super important. It was just we're getting started on a new venture. I had planned on doing Tuesdays with Ryan Tremblay, but Ryan's still trying to get things done. Of course, as a lot of people know, he had an idea for a show that he wanted to do, and it got swiped, so he kind of backed off. But like I always say, the show must go on. So I'm doing a Q&A, but I'm not necessarily I'm not doing what he's doing. Another infamous podcaster, who I'm not going to get into today. I'm not going to give him any airtime because it's not worth it. Took his idea and started, running with it. But what I wanted to talk about was everybody. We missed the show last week because of Christmas obligations. The same thing happened last year. We took a break for Christmas. We had too much going on. We literally every year at Christmas time buy like $3,000 worth of meat, me and the guys from my company, and we give it away to people and we distribute it, and we do a lot of Christmas stuff. So it was a lot of running around and a lot of obligations that we had, different events we had to make. Obviously I made a post on Facebook that got a lot of chat going about a Christmas situation that I had with family. Some people were asking me if everything was okay. Everything's fine. I just have written those people off. I'm not going to deal with them anymore. It's not like it's a big to do for me anymore. Next year is not going to be an issue for me. I'm just going to live my life and not have to worry about people who don't worry about me. And so what we're doing here, I'm here with Anthony. And you can see I can pan the camera out to him.
Hello, everyone.
And he's my nephew, and so he also does the editing for the show, and he wanted to say something in regards to what we're going to be doing, this new venture. And so I'm going to let him.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to throw it out there that we have a few things in the works for next year. One of them for sure is a Patreon, and for those of you who don't know, Patreon is it's like a website. It's a service where if you have a content creator, like say they're an artist, or they make art, or they make music, they make podcasts, and you want to support them, then if they create a Patreon page, you can go to their Patreon page and they'll have like different tiers set up, like a tier 1, 2, 3, however many they want. And what you do is you pledge like just a small amount of money that you pledge to donate to them every month. It's just like, it's kind of like a subscription, except you don't have to do it. And we're not going to lock any of our episodes behind the Patreon. We're not going to put any of it behind a paywall. Just some general ideas are like maybe the first tier of the Patreon will be like $2 or $3, right? And it'll be like you're just showing support. And maybe the second tier of the Patreon will be like $5. And let's say if you're a tier 2 supporter, you pledge $5 a month, then we put your name like in the description box of each video, and get like a quote unquote producer credit, because it's kind of what you're doing. You're all producers of our show if you contribute to it. That's what producing is. Maybe the third tier, let's say we have like a $10 tier. Okay, then and this is just, I'm kicking ideas around, but maybe you'll have access to like an exclusive Q&A session every Monday morning or every Tuesday night, whatever, whenever my Uncle Wolf feels like doing it. And he will commit to like a special Q&A live stream just for you and other like $10 a month Patreon supporters, things like that. And there's obviously all kind of creative things that we can do with it. There's all kind of ideas out there. It's not gonna materialize until, I don't know, hopefully the middle of January. And even then, we're just gonna kind of learn as we go. We're slowly building this thing over time. Yeah, playing by ear. That's a good way to say it. And
the top tier of the Patreon is going to be, you get to see me change into a werewolf. That is the top tier. Okay.
I haven't even seen that, so that
exactly. So he hasn't even seen this yet. I haven't even seen this yet. I don't even know how this works. So that's going to be really interesting.
Lucas Williams says, it's your Mexican Indian son. Well, which is it? Am I Mexican or am I Indian?
Is it Indian from India?
I don't know. Like, am I mixed race Mexican and Indian, or like Mesoamerican Mexican?
Did it come back on?
I don't know. Oh, okay. There we go. I guess we just lost a connection for a minute.
Yeah, it's this new system. We're trying to work the kinks out on it. And there's a delay.
Anyway, before the camera cut out, what I was saying is that the merchandise shop that we have up right now, it's in the description box of every episode, and that's the one we're using right now. But okay, here we go.
So anyway, we're gonna try and get this system. Somebody's asking where Sal is at. I don't know if you've been living under a rock or what, but he hasn't been my co-host since last December. I don't know why you're asking about that guy.
But long story short, there's a service called there's a merchandise service like the one we use called Teespring, which is a lot more popular, and it has integration with YouTube. If you've ever watched a YouTube video and like right below the video you see like pictures and previews of the that content creator's merchandise, that's something that I would like to get on our YouTube channel. So I might be setting up like a second merchandise store in addition to the one we already have, and I'm going to try and make sure that we have all the same stuff at both stores. It's just a matter of convenience for y'all, because I mean, no offense, but like I know that certain listeners are not as computer savvy as others, so it might be helpful to have like pictures and descriptions and previews of the merchandise like right there integrated into YouTube. But yeah, got a bunch of people typing a bunch of stuff. Let's look for a question that you can get to, because I'm tired of talking. It's a Q&A with you.
Well, you say what you had to say, and that's all we need from you. So get lost. Be gone, peasant.
With pleasure.
So, anyways, folks, without further ado, we're going to hit some questions here. It says here, Wolf, do you plan on sharing your church other church paranormal encounters? Which ones are you referring to? Because there's one that's coming out for the Travel Channel, and that's another one we were going to talk about. It's supposed to be, I think, in February. I'm not 100% on that. Me and Scorpion did a spot for them on These Woods Are Haunted, but the COVID things got everything kind of jacked up. I did just do a recording a couple weeks ago, mid-December, with a buddy of mine named Tony Duran. He's a boxer that I've known for years. Used to box with him here in Austin. When we were kids coming up, so we had a weird experience in my hometown that I have not talked about on the show yet, and I wanted to wait until he was on the show to talk about that experience, because I didn't want to sound like a weirdo with all these weird experiences and stuff without people to back them up. So I did a recording, a 2-hour show with him and actually Anthony, and so that'll be coming out soon too. So I'm not real sure what you're talking about, the other church experiences. I know that we did work at another church that had some paranormal activity going on that was a little bit haunted. That one, I believe my brother had some stuff happen there, and my nephew Zane had some stuff happen there, and I think Scorpion had a little bit of something happen there too. I know my brother took a bunch of pictures, and they were like orbs. If that's what you're referring to, I'm not 100% about that. What that is.
Now, one of the first questions up here, Josh, somewhat off topic, but maybe not. What are your thoughts on the Elisa Lam case?
Don't have a real opinion on that, and I'm not real familiar with that. What I have read about it isn't enough for me to be able to formulate like a thesis on it or an opinion. So that'll be something that I can look into and maybe go further in depth at some point. But not really ready to make an assessment on it at this time. And it says, Wolf, do you think dogmen and werewolves are rare animals? I don't know. You know what? There is this whole group out there who are determined to fight with cryptozoology, and make it that these dogmen are actual flesh and blood creatures, and they are so obsessed with it. And they have this one guy in particular who is completely insane and claims to be the biggest dogman expert, and he's got all this evidence, but yet everyone that I've talked to, including really close friends who I've keep in contact with regularly, he's bombarded them with his so-called evidence, and it's nothing. It's literally nothing. It's like footprints that aren't very clear, and like he's got I don't even know what else, like sounds. Like he had sent me some sound clips years ago, which I wasn't impressed with. It doesn't really seem like there is any real evidence that these things are flesh and blood. If they are, then where's the evidence? Because I've been waiting for this magical evidence to appear. We do have lots and lots and lots of people's stories, and it's a lot of people who I think are trustworthy who claim to have seen these things and had encounters with them. People from my local area, even, people that me and Anthony know personally. We've interviewed people in person that have seen these things and witnessed these things, and you can look in their eyes and tell that they're not liars. They're not lying about this. The problem comes that they do have some sort of supernatural qualities about them, and I think that it kind of precludes them leaving evidence, and I think that's a big. I don't think that they're necessarily the same as Bigfoot. I think that there might be different types, just like there's different types of Bigfoot, and I think that there could be a spiritual creature that can manifest as physical. I know from living in a house that had lots of paranormal activity that something can look completely flesh and blood. There was an entity that could mimic us, and it could look just like me. And you would look at me and say, "Oh, that's Wolf," and it's not me. I was asleep in my bed. I don't know what this thing was, But somebody who has had an encounter, they're like, "Oh, it's flesh and blood. It's flesh and blood." Yeah, I thought mine was flesh and blood too until like December 2019, when someone who was there actually told me that they saw a weird black vapor coming off of its back. That kind of changed my opinion on what it was. And the way that I had nightmares, it was almost like an entity was stalking me. Going back to the Hernandez Ranch, you have entities that are still to this day stalking the people who were involved. Even like we talked about on the 100th episode, where JoJo had something that's stalking him, and it's still going on and harassing him and his children and his, and obviously this is not just a flesh and blood creature, because if it was just a flesh and blood creature, well, I don't think that it would be able to just appear and disappear and do the things that they're doing and just show up at certain places where they're that only because they talked about going to those places. An actual creature that's flesh and blood is not going to be just waiting in the wings to run out at you, knowing who you are. Okay, like some sort of vendetta, So I don't know what that tells you, but I really wish that the people that are a part of the dogman community would come together and just kind of accept that these things are beyond our understanding. I think looking at these things that are purely flesh and blood, from a purely flesh and blood standpoint, is a big mistake. I think that we're doing ourselves a disservice with that, and being very closed-minded and not willing to accept that these things could be, something more than just flesh and blood creatures. Got a little, carried away on that one, but next question. Shirley Torres, sounds like a demon. Now, I don't want to get into the whole, Christians and Muslims. They tend to, everything's a demon to a Christian. Everything is a jinn to a Muslim. It's just kind of like, it's a demon. Anything you see, like a wisp of smoke in a haunted house, is a demon. I don't really subscribe to that either. I mean, I think that there are demons out there, but I don't think everything you see is one. It says, someone says, can you comment on the Permian Basin? Yes, I can tell you that the Permian Basin is inundated with hyena-type cryptids for some reason. Also, I got a weird report from the Permian Basin, who is someone that I know personally, that I've known since I was a kid. And they recently sent me a story because they lived out there and they heard really strange things under their floor. And I know you know this story, Anthony. They were hearing things, and I'm going to do a show about that eventually. I'm just going to talk about their experiences. And then they actually got me in touch with some people that they were neighbors with, that he was friends with from when he was a kid. And I did extensively interview this husband and wife. And the wife didn't have any stories in per se, of that, but we did talk, and she had her husband waking up with weird dreams and talking in a weird language. And apparently my friend from when I was a child had the same situation where he was speaking in weird languages and stuff. And I could attest to that because I stayed over the night at their house when they lived here in Central Texas, when they had moved from the Permian Basin. And he did wake up on a couple of different occasions and was muttering weird, almost like speaking in tongues or something, and I know that they would talk, his little brother would talk about hearing voices under the floor. And then that opened up me asking him about that and him telling me this crazy story about when they lived out there. And then I talked to the mom, who confirmed it. The dad didn't want to talk about it because the dad didn't want to scare us because we were little kids. And he was like, don't tell him that, But as I got older and my interest in the paranormal grew, I did talk to these people again. And I did get a whole, pretty much enough for a show about these voices that they were hearing in the ground. That they would hear like noises and voices, like people were working under the ground, but they were speaking a weird language. And some of the people in that neighborhood, they did have sinkholes that ended up happening. And eventually the neighborhood was abandoned. This was it was somewhere in between Odessa and Midland. And there was these like weird little creatures that people had spotted and seen, like duende type creatures. So, do you require sacrifices or special holidays? What is that? That's a weird question. Whoever posted that, I don't know what that means. What else do we got? Have you heard stories about the devil's tramping ground? Where's the devil tramping around at? What are you talking about? I don't even know what that means.
Oakland?
It's probably is California. Are we talking about California? I don't know. It says, Wolf, what do you think about the South DFW area? I've heard about 8 stories from this: Lancaster, Duncanville, and DeSoto. Anything you heard from there besides the 8 dogmen killed by agents? Okay, I don't know of any dogmen killed by agents. I know there's someone that has a show who talks to a supposed government agent, and there's all this wackiness that ensues. I don't. that's whatever. I'm not going to talk about that person. I don't know them personally, and so I don't listen to their show. I actually don't listen to people's shows. Because I don't want to be influenced by something else. Like I'm getting people's stories and then go, oh, that's what that is, because I don't. I know that area south of the DFW area. I know that we went out to Goatman's Bridge, Anthony and I, and my wife and one of her sisters, and we did see a glowing blue light in the water, which was weird. We couldn't explain. I don't know what that was. Obviously, it wasn't a dog man or a goat man. And going back to watching people's shows, I saw some guy get on Goatman's Bridge and like threaten the Goat Man and disrespect him and all this stuff. So I tried doing that too, and that's when we saw the blue light, and I stopped. So I don't know. I do know that there are lots of Dogman and Goatman reports in that area, in the north, the south of Dallas Fort Worth, and north of Dallas Fort Worth, going up into Oklahoma. There are a lot of weird stories near Lakes Texoma. We go up to the casino pretty regularly. I'd say regularly, like 2 or 3 times a year. But yeah, and so there are stories of that area being inundated with. I know that These Woods Are Haunted did a show about it, and I talked to Michael Sheehan, who actually we talked about one of the cases that he covers on the show, and that happened at Lake Texoma. It says, Josh, please talk about Dogman encounters around San Angelo, Texas. I used to run in the state park at night for training. I heard you say there were dogmen around the San Angelo, Texas. Yes, there again, these West Texas dogmen have this. There's this hyena type cryptid that seems to be very common in that area. Don't know exactly what that is. I don't know what that is or why it says that, like why they do that. I'm sorry, I was trying to read something. I don't know exactly why that is that those cryptids out there tend to look more hyena-ish. Me and Ryan have talked about this before on a show we did with Ken Gerhard. There's a lot that can be explained. We're going to be releasing that real soon. So we did it months ago, but we just haven't had a chance to release it. But yeah, we talk about those hyena type cryptids a little more. And then we've done a couple shows on them too, because they're so prevalent in that area out in West Texas. So it says here, Dogman has been seen a lot in Maryland in the last 2 years. I don't know about that. I haven't really gotten any reports from Maryland. I know Goatman is very prevalent there. It depends on who you're talking to. I mean, some people will say, yeah, Dogman is there in Maryland or whatever, but I don't. It depends on who you talk to. I've talked to podcasters who claim that they're getting reports from wherever they're living. I don't know. And it says here, could we be witnessing a societal collapse in 2021? I don't even want to go there. It says here, the Devil's Tramping Ground is in North Carolina. Okay. I've heard stories out of North Carolina, but I don't really. Yes, Ryan just posted, I think the hyena types are a regional variant. No coincidence. The areas that Arizona and Texas both have very similar environments to Africa, where the hyenas prefer to flourish. I think that's a good point, Ryan. It says here, about 22 years ago, less than 50 yards from our house, something killed 30 goats in the middle of the night. We didn't hear one sound here in the Texas Panhandle. Chupacabra. I mean, it's, they're all over Texas, whether you're the blue dog type or the weird little alien-looking reptile type. I mean, it says, hey, Josh, do you believe that the veil is getting thinner and that's why there are more creature sightings? Yes. Yeah, I do. I think that's very possible. Have you heard any Sasquatch or Dogman reports in the Smoky Mountains? Absolutely. I have a story that's coming out at some point. I talked to a lady that got me in touch with another lady, and I got stories from both of them ladies, but they got me in touch with someone whose dad, or I'd say it would be their grandfather, was a faith healer. And this was out in the this was out in the Smoky Mountains up in the Appalachian area. And this faith healer, the son and the grandson of this faith healer, I talked to both of them. And then I talked to a brother who was a lot younger than him, but he remembers. Got a lot of information out of these people. It's going to be a pretty interesting show, because as a faith healer, he went around and he would hold up snakes and they would bite him and nothing would hurt him. He let himself get bit by black widows, and nothing ever hurt this guy. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Wim Hof. He's the guy that does the breathing, and then he does like this. Ice baths and stuff like that. I do the breathing techniques and all that, and I've been doing that, and it does seem to actually work. As far as helping you physically. Look up Wim Hof. He's been scrutinized by scientists and stuff like that. So this faith healer, he had some sort of something, because he was reputed to have been able to fire didn't hurt him. All these other things happened to him. He could go out in the cold with no clothes on, and he could sleep outside in the cold. He was impervious to to snake bite and spider bites. But he did have many encounters. One was with a witch who was blind, who was demonically possessed, and it was a battle between him and these demons that actually took place, and these people were attesting to this. And then he faced a person who supposedly transformed into a werewolf, a dog man, right before his eyes, and in front of several people from the congregation that he preached in front of, and it was pretty mind altering. It was crazy. The people that were there that witnessed it were in shock, obviously, but this faith healer, and he faced this, and then he also had his own beliefs and opinions about Dogman, which is pretty interesting. So I will get into that at some point. And we will be doing that show. Just remind me, because I have so many shows in the queue, getting ready to go, like week to week, on Paranormal Round Table, the group. Get on there on Facebook, on Paranormal Round Table, the group, and say, hey, this, we would like to hear this, and we would like to hear that, and let me know. That's what this Q&A is for. To keep touch and with our base audience, and to make sure that you guys get what you want. You know what I mean? Like the content that you as the listeners want to hear, and we will continue to try to accommodate that as best we can. It says, werewolves are not really too far-fetched in my book. After researching Peter Stump, I have to wonder if werewolves are a demonic possession type of deal. We just talked about that. Very possible. Werewolves could very well be some sort of demonic entity, some sort of a possession, just as vampires. I mean, I do continue to get vampire stories. I think I got more vampire stories than a lot of people, because of the I've gone after those stories, and I never. Like a lot of people get weird stories and they don't classify them as vampires, whereas I did. I took them, and the people didn't say, hey, I saw a vampire, but I saw something weird, and I said, this is, I'm going to do a show, and I'm going to call it a vampire episode, because this is what this sounds like. And then lo and behold, more and more people start sending me stories, and we start getting more stories about what could be vampires. So yeah, I do get stories because people know that I've been researching that. And I think that other people just mislabel their. Another thing I was going to talk about is the whole rake. People are like, the rake's not real. The rake is a creepypasta. No, duh. Really? We know this, okay? We know that the rake is not real. The rake is a name for something that could be a skinwalker. It could be an alien. It could be a Wendigo, okay? Me and Ryan were talking long into the night the other night with my wife, Nellie, and we were talking about the rake and about Wendigo. I know, Ryan, if you're on there, you probably remember that. And the Wendigo is very possible candidate for what the rake is, So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to take a short pause. I'm going to have Anthony take over for just a minute, because I have to go and do something very quickly. It will take me 2 minutes. So Anthony, get yourself over here.
Better take them 2 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, shut up, kid.
You don't leave me hanging with these crazy people for 20 minutes. Okay, here we go. Hang on. Let me get this camera fixed, set up here. There we go. That's better. Okay. So yeah, he just had to go to the restroom real quick. He takes diuretics for blood pressure, and if you don't know, they make you like have to seriously go like when it hits you, you can't hold it. There's, they're merciless. It's a merciless medication. So yeah. Otherwise, he'd be here talking y'all's ear off. He loves to talk to y'all. He's great. Y'all are great. And oh, by the way, I don't know how to say your name. Well, I know how to say the first part of your name. Blue Storm. It's either Blue Storm 4 or Blue Storm IV. You send us a super chat for $2.99 for $3 basically. And well, firstly, that's appreciated. Thank you very much. That's awesome. And your question was, when can we get a Mandela Effect episode? And since you asked that, and it's a super chat, I'm gonna be pressing him to release that, because he's eager to release the Mandela Effect episode. He's always talking about it.
It's too vast.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we can get at least one out there.
Yeah.
As many accounts of the Mandela Effect as you have.
Yeah, as many accounts as our listeners have, and people talk about it, and there are things that I've had witnessed personally involving the supposed Mandela Effect. Whether you believe or don't believe, I don't think it really matters. I think it's happening, and it's a real thing. So let me adjust this camera a little bit. And folks, this camera that I'm using is actually a Christmas present that I got from my wife, Nellie, and I think it's really cool. We were messing with it earlier and figuring out how to use it, and we had an interview that we were supposed to do. They kind of fell through, and so we were like, you know what? Let's just do a Q&A. It is Tuesday. We were talking about doing it on Tuesday, so we ended up doing an impromptu Q&A. And this will be the first of many. We're going to do one. I'm going to try to do one weekly, and just so I can touch base with everyone about the goings on in the paranormal encrypted community, which I think are one and the same. But a lot of people will try to tell you that they're completely different when they're not. I mean, anything that's alien, ghosts, to me, any of that, it's all paranormal, because it's all out of the realm of normality. It's not a normal thing. So to me, it's paranormal. Also, if you noticed, I've gained about 20 pounds over the holidays, so I'm planning on trying to lose that back. So that's a battle. The holidays really just, Christmas, man, all you do is eat, and sweets, and all kinds of junk. So I'm trying to, didn't plan on being on camera today, but just kind of ended up happening that way. So other questions, we have a lot of questions coming in. All right, so yeah, somebody just said, yes, I agree, there's something strange going on with the Mandela Effect. Yes, definitely. It is definitely real. I mean, people can try to poo-poo it all day long. It's a real thing. I mean, it's really happened. I'm looking for a good question here. What does Vic Cundiff look like? I've already said this a million times. Vic is a personal friend of mine, and he looks like a muscular Ryan Reynolds. I don't know how many times I got to say it.
I love that guy's username, Roll the Losing Dice. It's like the story of my life sometimes.
Well, you roll the losing dice every time you go to a casino or get on I-35 and try to drive.
Yeah.
Says, cool, I believe we're going into the fourth dimension and going into one timeline since I've been a monster researcher since the early 70s and haven't seen so many dogman sightings in so many states. Your hair looks great. I'm not even going to say your username because it's it's like
Ethan's asking, are you familiar with a pig man?
My brother saw something that I would consider to be a pig man. We can get him on the show maybe to talk about it one day. You have any cryptid stories from Kentucky? Yes, absolutely. Kentucky and Tennessee and West Virginia, that whole region. There are, yeah, definitely.
We're gonna make sure we thank Grace for that super chat, $5 donation.
Oh, these are donations?
Yeah. Like whenever someone has like a highlighted reply like that, or highlighted.
Oh,
comment,
okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that's what that's what that was. Oh, Grace, thank you very much. I saw that earlier and I was like, I didn't know what that was. I'm not the technical, I'm not the techie here. I vote for no vampires. You know what, Denise May, I do too, because I do not like vampires. But what can we do? I don't like taxes either. I do. It says here, just tell us a story. You were so good at it. That's not really what we're doing here. It's sort of a Q&A, but what do you want to hear a story about? Because I have tons of stories because we get stories constantly. And I say we because I'm not the only one getting their messenger filled up now with stories. We are, as a group, always getting stories. So throw some ideas out there of what you want to hear about. Says there's some weird things I've seen around the northern part of of Kentucky. Okay. Yeah, vampires and taxes have one thing in common. They both suck. Yes, Ryan, they do. So security guard stories. I actually, when the show airs with me and my friend Tony, I grew up with when we were youngsters, we touch base on a building that we both worked at different times. I worked there before he did, and I even warned him about this building. It was extremely haunted. Like big time paranormal activity going on. Like, it was so ridiculous. And they went through a lot of security guards, one of which was me. And it was my first security job. I quit. I lasted longer than a lot of people, but there was one or two guards that had been there for a while, and they just were able to tune it out and block it out, whatever. But I warned Tony not to work there, and he did it anyway. And like I said, not Mushu Tony or Anthony, but this guy Tony that I grew up with. And he worked there, and he did it anyway. He talks about it on the show. When we do the show that we did together, he'll talk about that a little bit. And it was... He talks about how there were some weird things that went on there. And eventually I'm going to come on and talk about that building and my experiences that went on in that place. Nothing happens in Connecticut. Actually, I got a story out of Connecticut, but it's to me, I don't know what it would be. I think like a Mothman. I don't know if it's a Mothman. I do have several of the Mothman type stories, if you want to call them that I've kind of put into a Mothman file. But there's nothing, they're not really like super, there's nothing really that, it's just like they saw this thing flying and, it's not like it was attacking people or doing anything. It was just there. But yeah, I did get a story out of Connecticut that was like that. Saw some lights in the huge V shape back in 2011. It was one of our fields. As soon as I pulled my phone out to take a picture, it went out. Then only half of it went further away. I just got a story today, actually, about a UFO that was shaped like a cube. and it's somebody that we actually that works here at this office where we do our show now. We have a different studio, and they actually were telling us a story, me and Anthony, about a cube that they saw. Wolf, any cryptid stories around Buffalo, New York? Yes, actually, I do have that to talk about the rake. I'll give you this story. I got it from a guy who used to actually be a friend of mine, and Anthony's on Facebook, but he kind of just dropped off the grid, sort of a survivalist type dude. And he gave me a story about a rake type creature. This was right outside of Buffalo where this happened, in upstate New York. And it was floating a white, what he thought was a trash bag that was kind of pulsing up and down inside of a pond. And then as he got closer, this thing floated really quickly. And he said floated, like it floated. He didn't see, I guess, the appendages under the water maybe moving it. That was its locomotion or whatever. It floated to the shore, and it crawled out on all fours, and then its head popped out from underneath its would have been its chest, I guess, and lifted its head up. From the back of the head all the way down the back was these like ridges or spines, and then when it flipped itself around and contorted, the back was almost like a flying squirrel. How the back was completely white and almost translucent and pink underneath, and it popped itself up and spun itself around. And I remember this story. He told me through Messenger, and he told me in person, or he told me on the phone. And it popped itself around, and it did this weird contorting, like I said, and then he took off. It was him and a friend, and they ran back to their truck, and they took off because they were headed toward that pond to go fishing. It's called his town where he lived. It was like the little town right outside. It was called Lake something, but he said it was more like a glorified pond, like a really big pond. But yeah, that was pretty creepy. It says here, how about going live at a known active cryptid location? Thanks. No thanks. I'm not interested in doing that. So, but thank you for not caring about my well-being, whether I get killed or not. Josh, is Dogman natural or chimera? Both. I mean, it's as natural as any entity, like other entity. I mean, they would if it wouldn't be naturally occurring thing in our world if it didn't exist. I mean, it exists obviously. So, says the first time I heard the dog man was on the West Coast, and it was a security guard that saw it. Doesn't surprise me. Lots of security guards see a lot of strange things. Have you heard of a praying mantis man? Shirley Torres, yes, I have. In fact, we have a few stories that we're going to be doing a show about. On the praying mantis creatures. So that is another one that we're planning on doing. The Glimmer Man, the praying mantis type creatures. I'm going to write all these down so I can put them together with my notes. Because that was something that I had just... we were just talking about earlier about the different stories. Now that we're talking about them, I want to put them in order so that we can put them out for you, because that's the stuff that you're interested in. Sure. The praying mantis type creature is interesting because it is there was an abduction phenomena. And I will say this, just to whet your appetite a little bit about this one. One of them involved two dogman type creatures. I say dogman type creatures because I don't know exactly what they were, but they were involved in this praying mantis abduction scenario that took place on one of these people. I don't really know. I don't want to get into details about it because it's going to be on the show. Thank you, Bree Nichols, for the donation. Appreciate that. But and also Harbinger's Hollow. Thank you for the donation. But the praying mantis type entities are, I'm telling you, they're really creepy. And this one woman that gave me her story, I met her through another Facebook group, and what happened to her was beyond the pale. It was awful, and some of it's pretty bad. I can't talk about it on YouTube. It's not proper to. I can't really even talk about it. But yeah, I do have a few stories about the praying mantis in entities.
A bunch of people are asking about stripes.
Stripes. Yeah, I called him the other day, man. I was on the phone with him on a three-way with me and Ken Gerhard. Ken had gotten some information from this super duper, really smart expert from Dogman stuff up in Wisconsin. And so I got him on the phone with Stripes to let him get the 411 and what's real and what's not. You know what I mean? We chopped it up. We laid it down so that he would know that this guy up in Wisconsin was a phony. Of course, I'm joking, folks. All right, and then Stripes, obviously. We talked about Stripes in the 100th episode. If you refer to that episode on my show, Vic Cundiff actually just promoted it just the other day, and I appreciate him doing that. About 2 or 3 weeks after the show aired, but hey, better late than never. But he promoted it, and it is something that I like when we talk to the people who were involved that are still dealing with these dogman. What these people are dealing with now is so far removed from Stripes. It's like Stripes was like the one exception, it seemed to be, to the rule. These things are nasty and malevolent. And there's all these people that are like, oh, they're good. They're here to save us. 99% wrong. I do not believe that that's the case because the things that they do don't lend credence to that. So Stripes, just there's not really much more to tell. I mean, other than he was a creature that was young, that was picked up by a man named Abel at the Hernandez Ranch and raised up. We are going to have a guy come into the studio soon. I actually just ran into him at one of the stores we were shopping at for Christmas. Remember Anthony? Mm-hmm. And he goes by the name of Ernest. And I told one of his stories the other day that was one of his other stories, and I used a different name, and he was like, I thought I was Ernest. I'm like, well, okay, whatever. But yeah, I do try to give people aliases because it protects their identity. But he does have a big company that he runs here in Austin. They make good money, and I don't want to mess that up for him. But he does have information about dogmen that have been on his ranch, and they bought land not too far from the Hernandez Ranch, not like right next door, but close, like close. And they did that by design. He wanted to research these things, and so he actually they bought land that popped up for sale close to the Hernandez Ranch area, and so he actually has some stories that he's going to come on and talk about. It says Lion Man of Africa. I don't really have anything about lion men, but I do have hyenas. Now, I have heard of medicine men shape-shifting into lions themselves, but not lion men necessarily. I've heard of this, but I have no stories personally that anybody has given me. I know that the story of the lions of Savo, the locals there really believed that those were the ghosts of medicine men. So Chris Smith, thank you for your donation. Geez, you sent $10. That's awesome. It says, have you heard of the man mauled to death in Lipan, Hood County 3 weeks ago? Yes, I did. They said it was a mountain lion. Now they know they said it's an unknown creature, not too far from South DFW hotspot. I don't know. Actually, and I'm sitting right here. I don't know where they're at, but they're right here. Linda Godfrey, I just talked to her the other day, and she sent me these cards, and I don't know if you can see that. It is a card for Return to Wildcat Mountain, and it is about a Black Panther nexus in Wisconsin and some of the giveaways that we'll be doing, giving away autographed books that we do every week. We still do that every week. I'm going to stick some of them in there, and you guys can, because we're out of DVDs for Linda Godfrey. I did talk to. Oh no, we got one. We do have one, and oh, look at that.
It's autographed.
And it's autographed. It's a good thing I have my assistant, my guy. What do you call him? Indian Mexican guy that they call him. He's Mexican, folks.
Si, senor.
He's part Mexican. I'm part Mexican, and part Anunnaki. So the other thing I was going to. I'm just kidding, folks. Don't start freaking out now. Okay, jeez. I haven't opened all 12 strands of my DNA yet. I'm only on 5. So I have also some DVDs. You want to grab that DVD from Ken Gerhard? Speaking of Ken Gerhard, I just was talking to him earlier, messaging. He wanted to know if I wanted more of these. Now I'm going to be giving away these. These are autographed copies of The Real Wolfman. And this is Ken Gerhard, and he autographed that for us. So if anybody is interested in doing the giveaway, we got these. Now, this is going to be considered a show that we are going to post onto our site, onto Paranormal Round Table. Not necessarily I'm not talking about the site. We're going to post there too, but like on the Paranormal Round Table Facebook group. So if you want to win these giveaways, even if you don't like Facebook and you think it's just gross or whatever, you just don't want to be a part of it, join Facebook just to be in the Paranormal Roundtable group, and then join Paranormal Lounge, which is my wife's channel too. Also, this DVD we're going to be giving away one of these, and so when we post the link to the show, you will be entered into a giveaway, and you might win the DVD from Ken Gerhard. And I just I'm going to be making a deal with him to re-up and get a bunch more of these DVDs in, because it's really cool. He autographed the cover of it, and Ken, like I said, is a really good friend of mine. He recently posted about cryptozoology and making a point that Dogman is not really a cryptid. Not going to get into that one way or the other 100%, but I will say this. I did kind of back him up on what he was saying, because to me, Dogman is not an animal. Okay? The things that they do, if you only had the information that's up here, and from what I've gathered from hundreds of eyewitnesses, you would understand that this is the case. I'm being very honest. When I first started out with this, I thought maybe it was mostly flesh and blood. Now I'm going. I don't think so. I really think that there's something more going on here. And I know Anthony's sitting in the studio with me, and if Tony Mushu was here, my wife, Zane, my brother, Scorpion, everybody who's been involved with the show, they would all tell you the same thing. We've all talked to multiple people, and that we're getting the same consensus. We've come to the same consensus that these things are not merely flesh and blood creatures. Now, I do believe that there may be a variant of these flesh and blood creatures out there, that's the case, but I'm not ready to sit here and say that we're just dealing with an absolute flesh and blood entity. I think if there is a flesh and blood entity known as a Dogman, it is definitely it's a type. It's one type. There's not just that. And I know that there's a silly group out there that believes that, and they're full of ridiculousness, and that's what they believe just 100%. And I think that boxing yourself in and attacking anyone who doesn't agree with that is ridiculous. I'm not going to attack anybody and whatever, but it says here, hey, Josh, NADP Region 3 is listening in. Hello, National North American Dogman Project. Hello. It's Jody Cook's thing and Nick Valente. Nick, very good friend of mine. Jody, too. Hello to anybody from the National or the North American Dogman Project. What is this? It says Harbinger's Hollow. I live next to an abandoned spiritualist center for 3 months. I saw a mantis man, ghosts, UFOs, shadow people, and animals. It messed me up for years.
I think it's pronounced Umbanda.
Umbanda or abandoned? Is he trying to say abandoned? Umbanda. Okay, well, Umbanda, sure. I guess that's it. I mean, I thought maybe it was a mistake, but that makes sense because a lot of these things are very similar. I think that when you have a flap like Mothman, there's UFOs, there's Dogman, there's all these weird things going on. One of the cases we did when we talked on Vic's show, there was a child that was seeing a shadow man in his house, and then this dog man that was coming up to the window and communicating with him telepathically in the window, trying to get him to come outside and play. And according to the child, this was a show that we did on Dogman Encounters. They didn't get along. The shadow man and Dogman didn't get along, but they were both very evil. They both did very evil things. Like Dogman tried to break into the house and do horrible things, and the shadow man was very evil too. So it was black on black. It wasn't like, they were wearing white hat. One was wearing a white hat, one was wearing a black hat. No, they were both bad. It was darkness on darkness. If you watch Jeff Nadolny channel, keep up with Victor Agent guys saying about the total of tagged dogmen and werewolves in different states. Yeah, and how do you know the difference between a dogman and a werewolf? You don't. How do you know the difference between a dogman, werewolf, and a skinwalker? You don't. You don't. It's like walking past someone, in the street. You don't know if that person's a psychopath and they just got out of the nut house and they're about to shoot you. You don't know. You have no idea. There's no way to know. You can't look at one person and go, that's a good guy, that's a bad guy, because they don't, like I said, they don't go around wearing white and black hats to distinguish themselves. Same thing for the dog man. You don't know what you're dealing with. There's no way to really know. It says here, Umbanda is messed up with practitioners. So it is Umbanda. We'll never tell you what really goes on down there. They'll give you a PR version. Well, I don't want to go there. Heard any more about that shapeshifter that resides with where the pack of dogmen do? They resides. I can't, the way that it's written, heard anymore. Please do an in-depth show on shapeshifters, all the different kinds that people encountered. That would take a lot. That would take a lot of shows. I think it would be a lot more than just going through and doing one or two shows. You would be looking at like an entire docu-series or something. It says werewolves don't have snouts, dogman have a snout. How do you know that? Tiger in the midst. I mean, I'm not being crass here. I'm just asking. Angel Martin says Harbinger's Hollow. I've never heard of them. Bound up. Me neither. I had never heard of it. Episode of Paranormal Round Table where it was turning the door handle. Episode 2 of Paranormal Round Table where it was turning the door handle. Which entity was this? Because I've had more than one thing happen here. Do you still have the haunted key? Yes, and actually it disappeared recently. It did its little Houdini act again, and then it reappeared on the table. My wife doesn't like it. There's not a lot we can do about it. We have some other objects that I have in storage at this time that are very old and antique and may have energy to them too. I have a helmet that maybe have some sort of weird energy to it. Every time I've ever put it on my head, I end up having a nightmare. So I kind of stopped. So what are we doing on time? Let's see. It says Time Slip Story second to Dogman. I love Time Slip Story second to Dogman. Time Slip Stories, I actually have a few of those, and we're gearing up maybe to do another show about that. That's another one I'm going to write in my book to make sure that we actually cover those, because that's why these Q&As are going to be important, folks. We're going to do these every week, and so you, the listeners, are going to be more interactive with the show. And we're going to be putting out one of these weekly. And hopefully I can get together and start doing a co-hosting with Ryan once a week too, and then we'll still do the main Paranormal Round Table show, which is just going to be a radio show. You're not going to be able to look at this ugly face. I have a face for radio, folks, believe me. Let me see if I can go down. I think I just missed a pretty cool question there. You got any for me, Anthony?
It's either one person or multiple people asking about were tigers. And the last person who asked about it asked in all caps, so I think they're yelling it.
Well, where tigers? I got nothing. Now I do know about the Tiger King. The Tiger King. Apparently he is behind bars.
B word, Carol Baskin.
It's Carol Baskin. So, you gotta take it up with them. Here, Angel Martin has a good one. She says, my dear friends, Luciferian High Priestess mother said the dogman entity I witnessed with her was a generational hellhound. When I was talking about the show that I recently recorded with my friend Tony, it is about that. It is about hellhounds, possibly. We don't know 100%, but that's what it is. But yes, it is going to be along those lines of some sort of demonic dogs. I recently was looking for. I was looking for the name. I was reading the Testament of Solomon, and I was searching far and wide for this demonic hound that Solomon had confronted. And his name is Rabdos. I can't remember his name, and I found it. But Rabdos apparently was at one time a human who was so wicked and so evil, and he practiced sorcery, that he had turned into and become this canid type creature. So if you guys want to look that up and research that, that's pretty interesting too. So as far as hellhounds go, and it was Solomon actually confronted this creature, this entity. It says here, I plan on doing a channel telling supernatural and paranormal stories. You inspired me. I was wondering if you could help me to get started or give me pointers and what equipment to use. Anthony Wallace. Okay, Anthony, I will give you the 411 on it. Don't do it. It's horrible. It sucks. I'm a slave. Help, folks. I'm a prisoner. They're beating me. They're making me tell stories.
Shut up. Get back to work. Back. Gone.
Okay. All right. It's
Back
all good.
to it.
I'm doing it.
Better.
That was just kidding, folks. That was just joking.
You know what's good for you, boy? Go.
I'm trying. I'm doing my best. I'm just writing notes. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, write them notes, boy. Go.
As you see, Anthony Wallace, it is not all it's cracked up to be. But I love it. I enjoy it. It's fun. So, Anthony, on the serious note, it is a lot of work. Okay, I commend guys like Vic and Dark Waters, guys like that have done it for a long time and do it by themselves. I think Dark actually is using other people to help him now or whatever, but I know that doing the work by yourself is a lot of it's hard. It's not easy. I couldn't do it without a team of people to help me. My team of experts, just me, and then the rest are minor experts. But what we have is a team that helps us do everything. That's why I'm able to do it, because I do run a very large company too on top of this, and we do a lot of business. So it's hard when you're doing the holidays and then you're running a company and then you're also doing this, but this is going to become more and more a factor for me, because I have now hired more people to do the jobs so that I can focus more on this. That's why I'm able to do the show tonight. Plus we didn't release an episode, so I felt guilty. So I was like, I better do one. And of course I'm getting attacked if I don't. So that's another issue. Think of like Michael Jackson's dad and how he beat gold records out of him, like it was like alchemy. But yeah, that's kind of my situation here. So moving on. So if you're interested in doing a show, Anthony, I would suggest that you really, really, really think hard about how much time you have to dedicate to it, because there are a lot of people doing shows. Okay. Gosh, folks, and I'm telling you, my hair, I'm having a horrible hair day, and I'm over here trying to do a show. I mean, I get this weird, like a pumpkin pie haircutted freak. Black-eyed children. Yes, black-eyed children. I have gotten a couple more stories from the black-eyed children category, but not enough to do a whole show. So that is another thing that I will be talking about. I got a friend named Loki who actually had a black-eyed child encounter. He goes by the name of Caleb Jackson Bice on Facebook. I don't even know if he's been on there at all lately. He was a friend of me and Chief's, so you can go and pester and harass him to try to come on the show and tell his amazing encounter. Because it's, maybe you can get him to do it. I don't know. I can't. So what do we got here?
We got a $5 super chat from, I'm kind of probably going to butcher this, but maybe Urosh. I don't know how to say his name.
Urosh.
Have you had a chance to check out Scott Carpenter's channel? He has Dogman and Sasquatch.
No, I have not. I don't have time to do much but my own research. I don't do much. I don't even use things for reference. Folks, I hate to tell you this. I'm supposed to be reading a book by Chad Lewis. Supposed to be reading another one by Lyle Blackburn. I'm Nick Redfern. I'm supposed to be reading a book by my friend Trey Felton. I can't even find the time to begin to open those books, and that's a shame because I need to read these books. And I know Weatherly's got one out, or it's coming out. I can't remember. But there's so many books that I've been needing to read, and the problem is that don't have the time. If there is a way that anyone out there can help give me more time. I don't know if anybody's invented anything. Use your heads, people, okay? PRT's got a big family. Come up with a way to make a 25 to 26 hour day. Jeez, it's not that hard. We got CERN opening portals to different universes. You can come up with a way to make more. Let's do this. Get on it, people. Angelic Encounters. Yes, that's another thing we've been talking about doing. We have gotten quite a bit of Angelic Encounters. And that's another thing I need to write down. Got to keep writing these down. We have another person that has given me some information about a dog man, get this, that was kept as a pet by drug dealers. It's really wild. And let's see. How long have we been on the air?
Oh, I'm not sure. Hour and 18 minutes.
Hour and 18 minutes. So, folks, I guess that's it for today. Am I getting any more stuff here? Let's see.
Someone asked in all capitals, tell us again about the guy you worked with as security who never aged.
Okay. I'm going to answer this question really quickly. Have you ever heard of black-eyed children looking like a victim's niece or nephew, maybe to get into a person's home easier? No. That would be like a doppelganger. And I have not. I've heard of doppelgangers doing things, but I don't know about black-eyed kids. Or if you would consider that, I don't know. Yeah, so what was it again? Have I heard...
Ryan Graves was asking about the guy you worked security with who seemed to never age.
Mm-hmm. We were just talking about that the other day, and oddly enough, a friend of mine that we were talking to over the Christmas holiday that I grew up with, his name was Adam too, actually, and he ran into that guy. And he I think I already talked about it on the show, but he had not aged And not too long ago, I ran into a guy that I worked security with downtown, or was one of my security guys, one of my bouncers, and he remarked about that person. And I said, yeah, I do a show. I brought him up to speed. I said, I do a show. And I actually talked about that guy, and he was really interested in that. He was like, that's pretty cool that you talked about that guy, because it was intriguing to all of us that witnessed that. I do have a friend named Squid. I would like to get him to come on the show to talk about some of these things, like the reptilian dude and that guy, and some of the other weird things that happened to us downtown. Because I was talking to somebody about this again the other day. Weird stuff happens around everybody a lot, but I just think certain people are more perceptive to it and are more able to perceive it, I guess you should say. And when you're able to perceive it, then it becomes real. Doesn't mean it's not real already. It just means you're able to perceive it, so it becomes real to you. That a lot of people are able to catch glimpses of things here and there, but you'll get someone who's like, I've had a ton of weird paranormal experiences. Well, they have the third eye open, basically. They have, whatever you want to call it, they have the ability to see things and hear things and notice things that others don't. And that's extrasensory perception, so to speak, like an ESP. My buddy that I was talking about earlier, I keep referencing that because we just did that show a little while ago. He will talk about that when he comes on the show. He's had experiences. And I don't know, it was just weird that me and him both had a lot of experiences, and then we had this experience together in my hometown. And we'll get into that on the show eventually. But yeah, Adam, if that was his real name, I don't know what his real name is or was. But yeah, he was definitely unique and very possibly immortal.
And also a big thank you to Chris Smith for the $10 super chat. It's a season of giving. Keep up all the good work. Love the show.
Thank you, Chris Smith.
Thank you, Chris Smith. And thank you, Eric M., for your $5 super chat. Great. He says, great show, guys.
I appreciate it. This is my Christmas to everybody. I appreciate everybody that is involved, and you guys make the show. Without you guys, it wouldn't be a show, it wouldn't be a point. So many people don't. They forget that. They forget that their fans, they owe everything to their fans. I mean, without fans, without people to, I don't know why, but everybody kept clamoring for me to be on camera and be like, oh, go on camera and talk. And I'm like, why? You want to see my ugly face? You really want to see this ugly face? Well, then you got it. All right. That's what happens. So I guess on that note, I guess that's it. I guess we're gonna close it up for the live chat. This was an impromptu thing. It was just kind of like off the cuff. Boom, we did it. I announced it right before 5 o'clock, and then a lot of people showed up. We had over 300 people in the chat at one point. So I will be seeing you again, guys. This coming Friday, there will be a PRT episode, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
We've waited long enough.
Even though it's going to be New Year's Day, so we're going to have to get it done, but we will do it.
And also, lastly, thank you, M. Dane, for your $5 super chat. Much appreciated.
Thank you, M. Dane, for that. So it says here, one last thing. Hey, guys, watching you here in Alaska, just recently found your channel, thank God. And every single night, I can't sleep unless I'm binge watching your vids. I can't get enough. I just can't get enough. Is that one of those overrated 80s songs?
I don't even know. It's before my time.
He hates anything that's before 1998.
No, I said 80. I said a lot of 80s music is overrated. I didn't say it was bad.
You hate everything before you were born.
I said it was not. It's not the greatest thing that's ever been created.
I ain't in this.
Yeah. Let's figure out how to turn this thing off. Oh crap.
Okay,
slide
folks.
to stop. Okay.